The simplicity engine. How Apple subtracted its way to a trillion. Look at the most valuable companies on Earth, and you'll find sprawling conglomerates. But the first to cross the $1 trillion mark built its empire in a single featureless sheet of black glass. In 1997, Apple was bleeding cash, 90 days away from bankruptcy. Their catalog was a maze of dozens of beige boxes, digital cameras, and overlapping software versions that confused even their own salespeople. Apple started in 1976 as a garage-based partnership between Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Wozniak's engineering, paired with Jobs' marketing, turned a raw startup into a highly profitable hardware business. Rapid growth bred friction. Internal power struggles and clashing egos fractured the leadership. And by 1985, Steve Jobs was forced out of the very company he founded. Without a clear aesthetic or technical vision, the executive board panicked. They tried to capture every corner of the market by manufacturing an endless stream of disjointed peripherals. By trying to be everything to everyone, they were collapsing. They had a massive engineering team and decades of tech experience. But the fix didn't require inventing a complex new machine. The solution was ruthless subtraction. When Jobs returned as interim CEO in 1997, he took a marker to the product whiteboard and crossed out over 70% of their hardware. The mandate was brutal. Stop making mediocre printers and confusing servers. He condensed the entire company roadmap into a simple 2x2 grid. Desktop, portable, consumer, and pro. They paired this extreme focus with a minimalist marketing campaign, urging people to think different. The first hardware born from this philosophy arrived a year later. By stripping away the external computer tower and the tangle of cables, they packed the entire machine behind a single translucent blue monitor. That unified design sold 800,000 units in its first 5 months. It injected Apple with immediate cash flow and proved that consumers actually preferred fewer, simpler choices. By cutting the dead weight, Apple secured the capital to take an enormous risk on a market they had never touched before: mobile phones. In 2007, Jobs walked out onto a stage in San Francisco and told the audience they were introducing 3 products: a widescreen iPod, a mobile phone, and an internet communications device. He repeated the list until the audience realized the trick. A single condensed unit performed all 3 functions. This comparison highlights the shift in industry standards. While typical 2000 cell phones dedicated half their physical surface to plastic buttons, the iPhone removed the keypad entirely, creating an adaptive canvas that changes based on the software. But a blank canvas is useless without paint. In 2008, Apple launched the App Store, essentially crowdsourcing their software development. Millions of third-party developers began writing programs for that touch interface. Overnight, that simple piece of glass could function as a level for a carpenter, a map for a taxi driver, or a synthesizer for a musician. This expansion evolved into a walled garden, a closed ecosystem where Apple controls all hardware and software. Once your photos, messages, and daily habits integrate into this loop, switching to a competitor means losing access to that seamless connectivity. Apple's long-term dominance relies on a system so convenient that leaving it feels like a downgrade. This self-sustaining ecosystem secures the trillion-dollar empire. Now, this strategy faces massive, ongoing friction. International manufacturers flood the market with heavily discounted Android alternatives, constantly challenging Apple's high-margin pricing model. Yet Apple holds its ground. They command the majority of the industry's profits by refusing to compromise on build quality, strictly protecting user privacy within their closed loop, and maintaining deep brand trust. By making technology frictionless, they dictated how millions of people consume information, spend their money, and talk to their families. The device quietly rewired the daily routines of human behavior across the globe. The architect of this commercial success was the very same person ousted for being difficult to work with. He took the sting of that failure, refined his focus, and brought back a strategy of relentless discipline. It proves that the most effective way out of a crisis isn't always doing more. Sometimes it's having the vision to simply do less. If you found this breakdown valuable, hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives. Let me know in the comments, are you locked into the Apple ecosystem, or are you an Android user?